is problem by problem because we need to know how to do this. Okay, first problem. Most of us got this one right, but not all of us. What kind of formula is this? Sine, cosine, or tangent? This is a sine formula. So then you decide, is it something plus something or something minus something? Which one is it?
Minus.
This is a minus. And the somethings are 18 and 13, so the answer is sine 5. Any question about that? All right, next. This is what kind of a formula? Tangent. Plus or minus?
Minus.
Minus. So this is 27 minus 20. This is a formula for the tangent of 7. Okay? Then we've got cosine, cosine, minus sine, sine, which is a formula for, this is a cosine formula, and it's the formula of cosine. Sum or difference? Sum. So it would be 53 plus 33, so it's the cosine of 86. Now, anybody have any question about that?
Two twos.
All right, then we're going to do the cosine of 195.
Oh wait, there's not right.
Now, if I ever see this again, I'm going to not only count it wrong, I'm going to deduct extra points. You cannot, okay, let's say 150 plus 45. That's a great option. It isn't the only option. I don't have time to do every possible option. There are lots of ways to get 195. If you ever do this again, I swear I'm going to do something. I don't know what. This is so bad. It does not distribute. When you have the cosine of a sum, you must do what?
That thingy.
Your formula. So this is cosine 150, cosine 45, minus sine 150, sine 45. And then we're going to plug in numbers here. And by golly, we're not going to miss these numbers anymore. We're going to take the time to draw our triangles. And we're going to get these numbers right. 150 has a reference angle of 30. Across from the 30 is 1. This is root 3, that's 2, and that's negative. 45 is just 45. So the cosine of 150, I look at that picture, the cosine of 150 is negative root 3 over 2. Agreed?
Yeah.
The cosine of 45 is root 2 over 2. The sine of 150 is 1/2. And the cosine of 45 is root 2 over 2. Now, does anybody have an issue with that? Okay, so what do we end up with? Multiplying here, we have negative root 6 minus root 2 over 4. Now, some of you tried to use a cofunction identity here. And I sort of get it, I guess, because you saw 90 and you thought cofunction. What's the matter with that, though? Why did that not work? It's a plus. And the cofunction identities are called cofunctions because they're complements. That's 90 minus. So there is no identity for this, okay? Actually, you're trying to prove this would be the identity if you were doing it. All right? So what's our strategy? If there's no identity that we're going to just be able to get it, which is what some of you tried, what are we going to do? use our formula, right? What is it?
Sine 90 cosine x plus cosine 90 sine x.
Perfect. Now what do we do?
Sine and cosine 90.
These
equal
we can
numbers.
evaluate. You can't do anything with cosine x or sine x. You can't do anything with those. But we can evaluate the 90s.
Sine 90 is 1.
Sine 90 is 1.
Cosine 90 is 0.
Cosine 90 is 0. These are times. So 0 times anything is 0, so we just have cosine x, which is what we wanted. Right? Yes, they are easy. The next time you get here on time, it's not gonna be right in Texas. Okay. Now the back side. Now, when you looked at this problem, what occurred to you when you looked at this problem? What? Change it into sines and cosines. Now, again, everybody thinks differently, and you can approach this problem different ways. But don't forget, this is what you want to end up with. A sine, period. One term, a sine. These are not sines. So let's change them and see what happens. What's cosecant?
1 over sine.
Cosine is cosine. What's cotangent?
This is cosine over sine x.
Now, these two multiply together. That's a multiplication problem. So that would be cosine squared over sine, right? Some of you don't know how to do this multiplication because you're forgetting that's cosine over 1. So when you multiply, it's cosine squared over sine. Now what do we always do when we have two fractions? We get a common denominator, right? Put them together. Well, they already have a common denominator, so that's good. So we have 1 minus cosine squared over sine. It's beating out of my chest. 1 minus cosine squared. Sine squared. And what happens now? You got sine squared over sine. So that reduces to sine. Okay? Now I'm going to do the bonus right now because it'll probably show up some other time as a real question, so I want to do it. But does anybody have a question about this before I erase it? How many think you should have done better than you did on the quiz? That's what I thought. I was a little bit shocked by some of those papers. Okay, all right, well, let's look at the bonus real quick, and then we'll be done with that. Okay, so here's the given.
What is this out of?
What does 180 to 270 mean? I'm looking at x. What does 180 to 270 mean? Quadrant 3. And we have a tangent of 4/3. Now I went ahead and completed the triangle, and I put negatives in there. Does that make sense to everybody?
Times 2, which is
And then I'm going to go ahead and draw y. What does 90 to 180 mean? And the secant, and I left that negative out. Only one person noticed that. Okay, so there's that triangle. This is y. Now I want the cosecant of x minus y. Do I have a formula for the cosecant of x minus y?
no.
No, but I do have a formula for the sine of x minus y. So I'm gonna go ahead and find the sine, because I know how to do that. And when I get my answer, then all I have to do is flip it over. So what's the formula for the sine of x minus y?
Sine x,
Cosine y.
cosine y minus, cosine x.
Okay, and these two can be switched around, and these two can be switched around, but this is what we have. All right, so let's look at our picture. What's the sine of x? X is up here. Negative 4/5. Opposite over hypotenuse. What's the cosine of y? What's the sine of y? The sine of y? 12/13. And the cosine of x? So we have 20/65 plus 36/65 or 56/65. Right? That, though, is the sine. So what will the cosecant be? 65/56. Okay, while the video's still going, let's do one quick thing. Anybody have a question about that? Okay, here we go. In your packet, let's do the back of the front page. I don't think we've done this yet. The back of the front page. Okay, do you know your formula? It says, here we go. Number one, cosine, cosine minus sine, sine. What's that a formula for? Cosine what? Add or subtract? Add. So that's a formula for the cosine of 14. Number one, cosine 14. Everybody got it? Number two. That's a half angle identity, right? Which half angle? Sine? Half of what angle? 50. This is the formula for the sine of 25. 50 over 2.
Where in the packet are we?
Back of the front page.
Okay.
The back of the front page. It says, do you know your formula at the top? Number 3, cosine squared minus sine squared. No, not 1. It would be 1 if it were added. It's subtracted. What's that a formula for? Cosine squared minus sine squared. No. Look on the back of your purple sheet. It's a cosine formula. Cosine what? 2 theta. It's a double angle cosine. So this is a formula for the cosine of 2 times 92. It's the formula for the cosine of the double angle. So the cosine of 184. This is the cosine of 184. Boys and girls, your formula says cosine 2x equals cosine squared minus sine squared. That's what the formula says. Your problem says cosine squared 92 minus sine squared 92, right? So x is 92. So this is a formula for the cosine of 2 times 92, or the cosine of 184.
Was number 2 also? Oh, it was the half.
It's a half angle. Okay, what about number 4? Tan plus tan over 1 minus tan tan. That's a formula for the
Tangent of 18.
tangent of 18. It's the tangent of a sum. That's right, the tangent of 18. Add them together, the tangent of 18. 2 sine cosine. What's this a formula for?
The sine of 72.
The sine of 2 times the angle, exactly. This is a formula for the sine of 72. This is a double angle identity. Double what angle? Double 36. So it's the sine of 72. Sine 75. For some reason on this quiz, I gave a point for the formula, a point for the pictures, and a point for the answer. Okay. How are you going to start?
Find the sine of it.
Sine 75. What are you going to do with 75? 30 and 45? So what would your formula be then? If you chose 30 and 45, your formula would be?
Sine 30 or sine 45 plus.
Everybody okay with that formula? Now we get a point for the pictures. What do I mean by the pictures?
The pictures to get the eight.
Yep, that's right. So the 30 would be 1 root 3, 2. Anything negative?
Nope.
No.
Nope. 45, 1 root 2. Anything negative?
No.
Okay, so there's another point. Now we're going to get a point for getting the answer, and we're going to get the answer by doing what?
Doing the sine of 30.
So we got
Putting in the numbers from the picture.
1/2.
So 30, sine 30 is 1 over 2, right? Root 2 over 2. Root 3 over 2. Root 2 over 2. Straight from the pictures that you drew. Any issue with that? None? Good. All right, Stephen, you can turn the video off. I want to get it uploaded right now.